I've mentioned before that I order from Mandarake about once a year. However, this year I've made a special exception. For one reason, I had a little bit of extra cash available to me. And for the second reason is because part of what's in here is going to hopefully help fund the survival of the AnimeNation forum and blog. Some of you may, or actually probably all of you who are watching this, are aware that I am formerly of AnimeNation, and well, I'm still participating. I still am involved with AnimeNation, but the AnimeNation blog and forum site are the last remnants of the AnimeNation company. We last year started a Patreon to acquire donations to keep the AnimeNation forum online. Well, this year, once again, the hosting fees and renewal fees on the forum and blog are due once again. The cost to keep the forum and blog online is $300. As of right now, our Patreon donations are $137. So rather than try to just outright beg for money once again, or have G and I completely front the remainder of the cost, even though we don't actually use the forum or blog that extensively ourselves, what I had an idea to do was to see if I could buy some stuff which we could put up for essentially charity auction. Stuff that I could sell, or stuff that Gene could sell on eBay, and we could use the proceeds to keep the AnimeNation forum and blog page online for a little bit longer. Now, this is also an excuse for me to buy more anime collectibles for myself. So, that said, let's take a look at what's inside this latest order by doing the rational thing and using a box cutter to open this 2-package order. Now, because part of the content for this order is going to, I anticipate, go up on eBay for essentially charity auction. I do use the term charity a bit loosely because we're not a conventional helping the underprivileged charity. It is a charity to help keep the AnimeNation website and forum online. However, any money that we acquire, any money that we generate from sales will entirely go to the AnimeNation forum. None of this money goes to Gene or I personally. And similarly, as I will explain, when we actually start auctions, the original cost of the items I am personally donating. So I am not getting reimbursed out of the fees. Literally all of the money generated goes to keeping the AnimeNation forum and blog online. But this order is partially stuff for myself and partially stuff to keep AnimeNation online. Which also reminds me that I need to grab a piece of censoring paper, which I will grab from here. I'm just going to use a piece of white paper because I did manage to order some adult material. So depending on what I pull out of here, I will display it judiciously. But once again, as we see, Mandarake packages very carefully. So we'll get rid of the packaging, scroll back the thankfully tremendous amount of bubble wrap that Mandarake uses, and take a look at what's in here. Let's see, box is too heavy for me to lean it forward, so just trust me. Alright, first thing I see in here is a second set of Mandarake Toho figures. I admit that I am not extensively familiar with Toho. Before I go into an explanation, I'm going to say that I have no working notes. I did not review anything, so in this video, forgive me if I misspeak or state any errors. I am literally recording this off the cuff, completely out of my recollection. So, I've watched, I think possibly the first 8 or 9 Manpuku Jinja Toho. Forgive me, I can't remember the full name of the anime Dojin anime episodes, but I've watched 8 or 9 of those, and I've watched a handful of other Toho Dojin anime, so I am vaguely familiar with who the major characters are, and moreover, I do have this set, which includes Marissa and Alice, I believe, and so there are 2 sets. However, the second set is frequently sold out. However, 1 copy did come in pre-owned, even though it appears to be, judging by the stickers on the back, it looks like this was opened at one point. However, to me, it's still in practically new condition. So since there are only 2 of these sets of Toho little girl figures, I wanted to have both sets, so I bought the second set for myself. I had no idea that there ever was a Rurouni Kenshin and Hello Kitty crossover, but apparently this happened. Actually, I don't even know. Does this tell me a year? This has a copyright date in 2014, so perhaps back in 2014 there was a official Hello Kitty and Rurouni Kenshin crossover. Actually, this would probably make sense if this was related to the live-action movies. Now that I think about it, that would probably explain why this came out. However, I really love the concept of anime crossovers. I think they're very, very neat. So when I found out that there was a Himura Kenshin Kitty figure, I decided I just had to have it. There is also, as you can see from the tag or from a Google search, there is a matching Shishio Hello Kitty. However, I'm just not a huge Rurouni Kenshin fan. The villain Shishio doesn't mean as much to me as Kenshin does, so that's why I only bought one of the 2 plush figures. Let's see if I can get this open. This is some interesting stuff. Hopefully some interesting stuff. One of the first things in here is a officially licensed Boruto movie Velcro wallet. The headband symbol is metal. This is officially licensed. It does have a Studio Pierrot logo on it. Has a price tag on it, which I'm going to hide. This I bought with the intention of putting up on our eBay sale to hopefully gather some proceeds toward keeping the AnimeNation forum alive. So if this particular item interests you, keep your eyes open in the next couple days for an opportunity to possibly buy this from Gene and me. This particular item is one that I bought personally for myself. As I mentioned, I love crossovers. I also love themed products. This is a Victorinox Swiss card, as you can see. It's a business card sized piece of plastic, a plastic case, and inside it are a small knife, scissors, a pair of tweezers. It's essentially a Swiss Army knife, an official Victorinox Swiss Army knife in a business card type size. However, this particular one is themed for Girls und Panzer. So Girls und Panzer, as I'm sure you know, is a tactical girls with tanks show. So a themed Girls und Panzer Swiss Army knife collaboration was really, really interesting to me. So considering I already have an official Michiko Tohachin Swiss Army knife, I really wanted the Victorinox Girls und Panzer Swiss Army card as a matching collectible. This is a Susumu Kodai keychain from Yamato or Star Blazers. This, I'm not going to mention very many prices, but this was $1. So just as a neat nostalgia item, I decided this was worth $1. Similarly, this is a Emeraldis. As you can see, Captain Harlock. Here is a Space Pirate Emeraldis keychain figure. Once again, this was only $1. Because I grew up with characters like this, I figured that if I don't keep it, I have friends that will really appreciate having this. And this was also very expensive, and apparently this is censored enough that I can show this. I believe this is a PC game. I'm not sure, but it is a small-sized microfiber towel with a cute girl on it, and it was very, very inexpensive. I think this was $1. So even though I don't know exactly what it is, I decided it was attractive enough to be worth the purchase. I don't see Dead or Alive girl figures very frequently. So when I saw this beach set of Dead or Alive, Kasumi, and Ayane, it took me a while there to remember her name. I'm right, it's Kasumi. I believe it's Kasumi and Ayane. I believe these are if I'm reading my Japanese correctly, these are Shunya Yamashita character designs. Once again, I'm deliberately not going to mention too many prices, but this set of 2 figures was $25. So both of the figures, at an average of about $13 a piece or $12 a piece before shipping. Yeah, I figured I would like these enough in my personal collection that they were worth the purchase. And now that I get a look at them in person, yeah, they are nice looking figures. So I'm quite happy to have this set myself. Some of you that have been around in the hobby for a long time may remember items like this. The Sakura produced a lot of Evangelion figures back in 1997. This, as you can see, is the Sakura Hobby 1/6 scale Rei and Asuka from the original Evangelion television series. Because of their age, these figures, because of their vintage, tend to be a little bit pricey on eBay. I acquired this relatively inexpensively, so this is an item that I intend to have Gene put up for sale on eBay via AnimeNation to hopefully raise some funds to keep the AnimeNation blog and forums alive. In my experience, regardless of age, no matter how old they get, Evangelion figures remain popular. And considering that these are vintage figures that we don't see very often anymore, I'm hoping that somebody out there will be willing to drop a couple bucks on these to not only acquire the set, but also to help keep the AnimeNation forum alive. Similarly, I purchased not just one, but actually 2 slightly different models of the Sega. I think they're different editions of the Sega Psychopaths Dominator. These are both 1/1 scale figures of the both lie detector and firearm used in the Psychopaths anime. These are plastic replicas. These are the lower end ones. These do not have sound or light. These are just static replicas. However, even these static replicas are pretty expensive on eBay. So I'm hoping to put these up for sale to generate proceeds to keep the AnimeNation blog alive. And hopefully whoever acquires these will be able to acquire them at a price more affordable than typical eBay asking price for them. So I see that one of them is actually from Psychopaths, and one of them is from Psychopaths 3, or in other words, the movies. So that's the difference between these. Hold on a second. I'm gonna need just a little bit of help here with my cameraman because my table has shifted on me. Alright, so we're going lower, apparently. Alright, still works out. That's what happens when we go low tech, we improvise. This, wow. This was a figure that I bought halfway on a whim. I was not sure if this kimono-clad Nami figure would be one that I would put up for sale on the AnimeNation proceeds effort, or if this would be one that I would keep for myself. However, when I see tentatively how large it is, because I certainly didn't, I expected something about half this size. Now that I see how substantial this figure is, and considering that it is open, I'm going to open it up and take a look at it. Now that I see the box, I'm much more inclined to keep this for my own personal collection. So you might see this go up for sale on eBay to generate funds for AnimeNation, but there's a pretty good chance I'm actually going to keep this one for my own collection. There are a number of books here. The first two, or actually the first two in here we'll go with, are the first two volumes of the Fushigi no Umi no Nadia Secret of Blue Water film comics. I collected a set of these film comics back in 1991 or 1992. The television series was 1990. So, I mean, it's possible that I bought these in 1990. But I bought a set of these when they were brand new. But a couple years ago, one of my local friends who had a partial set had to clear out some of his collection and donated to me his partial set of these. So I had to finally purchase, well, I could finally find them in stock. I purchased the first two volumes to complete his set. So now I have a second set of these. I'm not sure what I'll do with the second set of them, but I do now have two sets of the Secret of Blue Water film comics. Similarly, he gave me one of the two Project A-ko hardcover film comics. I've had a set of these for 20 years, but he also gave me a book one, so I needed to acquire a book two. Because of the age of this book, it tends to not come into stock all that frequently. But Mandarake did finally have a copy in stock, so I picked up a book two, so now I have two, if not three, I may have even three sets of these, but I have at least two sets of the hardcover Project A-ko film comics now as well. Now, let's see. This is provocative, but there's no nudity on the cover. I collect Saigato Circle Dojinshi, Ishikan Yoga Dojinshi. This one. Let's start with these two for now. These are text, light novelette. They're very thin. But these are short story dojinshi, which include a handful of illustrations by Ishoku Dogen. So technically, these are considered Saigato dojinshi. And where did my piece of paper go? This is another one. Unfortunately, I can't show you most of the cover for this one. And similarly, this is the fourth one. And once again, to keep the video family friendly, I can't show you the whole cover. But in order to try to keep my collection of Saigato Dojinshi complete, these were quite inexpensive, so I wanted to pick these up. In terms of Dojinshi, I think this is clean enough that I can show this. This is a oddity. I am not a big fan of yaoi. nor am I a big follower or fan of Transformers. However, just by random chance, when I happened to stumble across what is described as a Transformers Ironhide Cross Ratchet Yaoi Dojinshi, for the very low price of $2, I had to buy this as a bizarre novelty. I do have a very devoted Transformers collector friend that I will pass this along to. But the very idea of a Yaoi Dojinshi starring 2 Transformers was just too unique and interesting for me to pass up. This is actually cleaning up. This is a Black Lagoon Dojinshi. This one was just a random book that I happened to come across. It popped up in the Mandarake recommendations. This one was especially cheap. This one was only $2. So I decided, well, for the price, I like Levy. I'll buy this as a blind buy. Similarly, this was another Dojinshi. This is an adult book. However, the cover is clean. This is a Ghost in the Shell television series, adult Dojinshi, that popped up in the Mandarake recommendations. This was only $2. So I figured, why not? I'll try it out for $2. In the same recommendations came this particular Kaiten Sommelier early Final Fantasy VII Dojinshi. This one I will probably at some point offer up for sale because I acquired this one very, very inexpensively. I do like the circle, but I'm not a huge fan or follower of the Final Fantasy VII franchise or Tifa. So considering that this cost me $1, I should be able to mark this up at a small margin and make a small profit off this. And this also is a book that came up completely through random chance. I'm sure that you've all had the experience of looking at one thing, which leads you to another, which leads you to another. Well, via that sort of random chance, I happened to discover Little Sandy with Monsters in the Mega Forest. This 1989 Dojinshi is actually the first published comic by Yasuhiro Naitao. This is the first published comic work of any kind, self-published or professionally published, by Yasuhiro Naitao, the creator of Trigun, the creator of Kekai Sensen. Yes. I'm not familiar with the content of this book. However, my understanding is that coincidentally, this book does happen to include the first appearance of Kuroneko, the black cat that later appeared in Trigun. This book was very inexpensive through Mandarake, and although I'm not the biggest fan or follower of Yasuhiro Naitao, this is a really interesting, very unique aspect of manga history, so that's what appeals to me particularly. So I'm particularly happy to have this in my collection now. It's a really neat part of anime history. The first comic of any kind published by Trigun creator Yasuhiro Naitao. Alright. These are items that I intend to put up for sale on the AnimeNation, on the Save AnimeNation funds effort. These are 2 Toho umbrellas. Now, I will give you better images of these when we put them up for sale. But so I'm only going to open one of them. And if you've watched a lot of my unboxing videos, you've probably seen at least one, if not both of these before. And I realize that if I unwrap this, I'll probably never be able to wrap it again exactly the way it was. But the point of this unwrapping effort is to demonstrate that these are full functional, usable, adult outdoor size umbrellas. Hopefully my cameraman will tell me if this is entirely within camera, or he'll tell me which way I need to. Regardless, the point is that these are full human being sized outdoor umbrellas with Toho girls on them. So these are pretty unique items. So I'm hoping that we will be able to meet a few Toho fans that are interested in contributing some funds to acquire one or both of these and help keep the AnimeNation forum online for at least another year. So this item is one that will be going up on the AnimeNation proceeds effort. This, as you may be able to tell, is a Railgun. Is it just plain Railgun? I believe this is first series Railgun Bed Sheet. So I have not measured this. I don't know exactly how large it is. My guess is this is probably single bed size bed sheet. However, the appeal is that you can sleep with Mikasa yourself, or these look fantastic when hanging up on a wall. So if you happen to have a lot of empty wall space where you can hang something up like this, you know, it's certainly printed fabric, essentially giant wall scrolls like this really look gorgeous. So this is an item that will go up to help save AnimeNation. Likewise, this is as well. Once again, if you've been in the hobby and you've been a collector for a long time, you might recognize these. Hopefully the camera picks this up and you'll be able to see these. These are the bust figures of Rei and Asuka in bathing suits. They're the knees up shots. So these are, again, vintage figures. And in my experience, Evangelion figures are always popular. So hopefully these will bring in some profit towards saving the AnimeNation forums. Oops. I am a big fan of Hyouka from Kyoran Kazoku Niki. Among all of the female anime characters in history, Hyouka here is really one of my very favorite anime characters of all time. I just love this little cat girl mother of a bizarre little family. And it's bothered me in the back of my mind that I've never bothered to get around to buying her Nendoroid figure. So a used copy of her Nendoroid figure showed up very inexpensively. So I finally decided, yeah, it's a good time to pick this up for my personal collection. Also, for my personal collection, I acquired a couple odd items, a couple odd Dojinshi, among other things. This particular Dojinshi will be going into my collection of Dirty Pair Dojinshi, which sadly will probably never be complete. However, if you are very observant, you may notice that this elf character is wearing a Dirty Pair outfit. This Dojinshi happens to have a one-page non-adult image of Dirty Pair in it. So therefore, because there is a Dirty Pair image on the cover, I do consider this a Dirty Pair related Dojinshi. So I wanted to pick this up for my collection. I don't believe I have the Rainbow Sentai Robin Roman album. I I'm not even making an effort to collect all of the Roman albums. However, when I do see books from vintage anime, in this case the 1967 Rainbow Sentai Robin at a very, very inexpensive price, I like to pick them up because they're a good reference material and they're also a little bit of anime history, which appeals to me. So this was very, very inexpensive, and this will be going into my personal collection. Picked up, as I mentioned, several other Dojinshi. Let's see which of these. This one I will have to censor slightly. This is a very, very cute Nekomimi girl, Lolita Dojinshi. This was $1. I have no idea about the content of this book. It was one that Mandarake threw up in recommendations. Considering it was so inexpensive, I decided it was worth the risk. This, I think I'm gonna make a guess that I can throw this up there without getting censored. This is a Love Live Dojinshi. This one I will probably offer up for sale at some point, but it had a provocative cover and it was only $1. This is a Yoshitoshi Abe original Dojinshi. Nothing on the back. But Yoshitoshi Abe, whom I'm sure many of you will know as one of the co-creators of Serial Experiments Lain and the character designer for Nia Under 7. He has many Dojinshi. This one came up in the Mandarake recommendations. This one was discounted to only $1. So for $1, I figured, sure, I'll buy a Yoshitoshi Abe original Dojinshi. This particular Dead or Alive and is that Godgather or is that Rival Schools? Honestly, I'm not even sure. I don't even remember. I may be completely wrong. It may be something completely other. However, this particular Dojinshi was one that came up in recommendations. It was only $1. I figured I might be able to resell this one at some point, so I'll take a chance on it for $1. Similarly, this particular Final Fantasy Dojinshi was also a recommended book. It was discounted to only $1, so I figured I would pick it up. I may be able to hand it off or sell it to another fan. This is widely considered the first Saigato Dojinshi. In the same way that Nazika is not technically a Studio Ghibli movie because it was made before Ghibli existed, this is a Moriman Shoten Dojinshi. So this was created before the Saigato Dojinshi circle existed. However, it is still considered a Saigato Dojinshi. So this would technically be considered the very first Saigato circle Dojinshi. I've had opportunities to buy it before, but passed on it. So I finally wanted to get it now. When I have the opportunity, just to be on the safe side, there's no nudity on here, but I'm going to censor it anyway, just in case. When I have the opportunity to buy Dojinshi based on Hare no Chigu, Risky Safety, or Miami Guns, I do, because those are the 3 series that I was involved in licensing and distributing along with AnimeNation. To be honest, I have never actually seen a Miami Guns Dojinshi, but I do have a collection of Risky Safety and Hare no Chigu Dojinshi. At the time I made this order, this was the only Hare-gu Dojinshi that Mandarake had in stock. However, I did not have this one, so I wanted to pick this one up. I personally think that there are 3 adult manga artists who draw tremendously super, super sexy, chunky women. Those would be Milfiel, Hiji, and Tsubura Hase. So I don't try to collect all of Tsubura Hase's Dojinshi, but I do collect his Street Fighter Dojinshi, particularly his Shiri-chun series. So this is one of the Tsuburahase Shiri-chun or Street Fighter series Dojinshi that I did not have. This one has a clean cover. This is another one of the Tsuburahase Circle Street Fighter Chun-Li Dojinshi that I did not have. So I'm going to pick this one up. Here is Shiri-chun Volume 4. And let's see. And is this a clean cover? This particular Sakuran Dojinshi by Tsuburahase is one that I purchased because I didn't recognize the cover. It didn't look familiar to me. However, after I started going through my Dojinshi, I realized that I actually already did have this one, so this one is now a duplicate copy. However, I hoard, so I don't mind having a dupe copy. This is a Lolicon Dojinshi I know nothing whatsoever about. It was one of the Mandarake recommendations. It was very inexpensive. I decided to just take a blind leap of faith on this one. I've mentioned that I collect Dirty Pair Dojinshi. This is one of the Gurugura Hanpo Circle Dojinshi. I already have this book. However, the version I have is the second printing. This is a first printing copy. There is probably no discernible difference, but it was inexpensive, and I had the opportunity to buy anyway, so I decided why not. I do like do we have the the circle here is Ozashiki. I apologize, I have forgotten the particular artist's name. However, this is one of the adult manga artists that I particularly like. Not enough to collect all of his work. However, this particular Street Fighter Dojinshi is one that particularly appealed to me. Enough that I decided I wanted to own an original print copy of it. I mentioned that I collect Dirty Pair Dojinshi. This is Dirty Pair Flash, which is a little bit of a stretch, but technically it's still Dirty Pair, and so I'm glad to have this in my collection of Dirty Pair Dojinshi. And I think this is clean enough that I can show the front. I can't show the back without censoring it. But this is an original Mandarake Shitajiki. Since these were only 93 yen, I decided to buy multiples of them. I will probably donate at least one of these to my cameraman. But for the others, I just couldn't afford. They were so inexpensive and attractive, I decided to buy a few of them. This is one of the treasures of the acquisition, of the purchase. This, I can see that it does have some damage. However, this is the Shonen, this is Shonen Jump. Janpu. This is the 1981 Shonen Jump with the first appearance of Hojo Tsukasa's Cat's Eye. Now, I can see that the book does have a little tear here in the corner. It does have some dog ears. It is a little bit ratty. However, considering the age of the book, considering how rare this is, I'm happy that it exists at all. The price was, by my standards, very reasonable. The first manga appearance of City Hunter is several $100s. I can't afford that. This is literally the next best thing. I do like Cat's Eye very much, so I will be happy to put this into my permanent collection. First appearance of Cat's Eye, the manga. I am not personally a big fan of the Vinland Saga, Norse historical adventure manga series. However, this issue of Gekkan Magazine, or is this Shonen Magazine? No, sorry, this is Shonen Magazine. This copy of Gekkan Shonen Magazine is the 2005 first appearance, first published chapter of Vinland Saga. So I imagine this is also a quite rare magazine. When I take a look at it, it's clearly used, but remarkably good condition for its age. This is a rarity which we will be putting up for sale on eBay to raise money for saving the AnimeNation forum. This, I imagine, is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A magazine, this particular magazine, I imagine, does not come up for sale very often. So if you are a fan of the Vinland Saga manga, and I know that there are plenty of fans, when we put this up for sale, this might be your only once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own the literal worldwide first appearance of the Vinland Saga manga. I was very surprised to be able to acquire at a very affordable price the Manga Frontier magazine from 1993 that happens to contain the very first chapter of Hiroaki Samura's Mugen no Junin. In other words, this magazine is the worldwide first appearance of Blade of the Immortal. Once again, I'm not the biggest fan of Blade of the Immortal. I have watched the live-action movie. I have watched some of both of the two anime television series. I've read some of the manga. I'm not the biggest fan of the story. However, this particular magazine was remarkably inexpensive. So as a very definitive component of manga history, I decided for the price, I would be very happy to have it. So I am indeed very happy to put this into my permanent collection. I am aware that the Reincarnated as a Slime story started out as a web novel series. However, in 2015, it was adapted into a manga series. This issue of Monthly Shonen Serious magazine contains the first published chapter of the Reincarnated as a Slime manga. Once again, there are probably slightly more copies of this magazine floating around than there are, for example, in the first appearance of Cat's Eye. However, there are probably not that many copies of this floating around either. This is a magazine that I specifically purchased in order to put up for sale to raise funds to save the AnimeNation forums. So in the next, hopefully, week, depending on how quickly Gene gets to it, keep an eye on our Facebook page, keep an eye on eBay. We will put this up for auction, and the entirety of the proceeds from the sale of this book will go to keeping the AnimeNation forum alive. As I mentioned, this is the first appearance of the Reincarnated as a Slime manga series. It's as big as I thought, Phil. If I can get into this relatively quickly, this is a sizable magnet. I guess you could call this a fridge magnet, because I intend to use it as a refrigerator magnet. But that's what it is. Apparently, there are 3 of them. I wasn't aware that there were 3 of them. But as you can see, character magnet sheet. So this is a giant-sized fridge magnet. I've mentioned before, I particularly made Phil aware that Super Sonico is the female earphones wearing mascot of the Nitro Plus PC game developer. Sonico is very svelte and very thin and very fit. The chunky, the pudgy version of Sonico is called Super Pochaco. So this is Pochaco. This is the fat version of Sonico. I'm not actually sure. I don't think this large clear poster affected my shipping cost, because I did play around with the items I purchased to decide what affected shipping cost. I did discover that on Mandarake, practically any item which is labeled as a poster drastically increases the shipping fee, even if it still fits in the same box that's shipping anyway, even if it's very, very lightweight. However, I believe this one did not. This was an exception, and this did not drastically increase my shipping fee. So this is a printed on plastic Lyrical Nanoha Strikers clear poster that was only $1. I did not buy a whole lot of clear files or shikijiki this time. I did buy a oh crap. I told you I was doing this off the top of my head. What was the name of I apologize. The title of this anime franchise has completely slipped my mind. Perhaps you will recognize it. The Blu-rays were released domestically by the same company that released Chargeman Ken. They're Discotech. It was released by Discotech. This was a Toei franchise loosely based on Japanese folklore. It involved the girl with the gigantic transparent hammer. I completely apologize, the name has slipped my mind, but a clear file based on that anime seemed interesting to me for $1. This is I just can't actually see it. This is a set of 3 Kantai Collection Fleet Girls clear files. It was $1 for 3 of them, so I figured that was worthwhile. This is the only shikijiki I bought this time. I'm sure that there might be some of you that remember what Tokyo Vice is. It was a later 80s OVA. It was released on American DVD by Media Blasters. But because it's an obscure golden era OVA, I thought it was really neat to see a shikijiki from it, so I decided that for the price I wanted to own it. And let me transition quickly to the smaller final box. And let's see what's in this one. So move the packaging. I have a friend, I've mentioned before that I have a friend who collects vinyl Godzilla toys. This is a Banpresto Godzilla series toy lie detector. This one obviously is Mecha Godzilla. When batteries are placed in it, you place your fingers on the diodes, and I guess it makes varying noises depending on whether you are telling the truth or lying. I did think it was just very, very interesting. Unfortunately, the Godzilla one was out of stock, but because the Super Deformed Mecha Godzilla was available, and it's such a novel item, I wanted to pick this up for my friend who collects Godzilla items. Last order, I was able to acquire the Kyun Kara figure of Inami from working. This time when I was searching, I happened to find the Yachio figure from working. I don't know how many of these there are, but I really love the girl characters in working. So with this being as inexpensive as it is, I picked this up happily. Also, I imagine that many of you, perhaps all of you, will recognize what this is. This was a little bit more expensive, but cheaper than retail. This clearly is the Naziko Kamado figure from Kimetsu, Nendoroid figure, based on the Kimetsu no Yaiba Demon Slayer manga and anime series. Now, I am not the biggest fan. I'm sure that there are other people out there who love Kimetsu no Yaiba more than I do, but I do like the franchise, and I love Nezuko just as much as everyone does. So when I realized that I was able to get the Nezuko Nendoroid figure for less than retail, yeah, I decided I had to pick this up. This is a Girl's Own Panzer figure with Miho sticking her head out of a little tank. Just the whole concept of this figure amused me endlessly, so I wanted to pick this up. This is something I am uncertain of. Let's see. Oh, I know what this is. You'll remember that I mentioned that I love thematically related items. And on the concept of Girls on Panzer, I happened to find this pair of miniature Girls on Panzer tactical binoculars. Now, technically, these are labeled as opera glasses because these are actually a promotional or publicity item from one of the outdoor Girls on Panzer live concerts. So that would explain why there are field glasses. However, just the idea of this Bishoujo military anime having military-style binoculars really just thematically caught my attention. I thought that was a really, really neat sort of crossover. And these were quite affordable for what they are. So thematically, I'm really happy to have this in my collection. I believe there is just one item left. You'll remember that I mentioned on my last unboxing that this is the X Japan Hige with giant hair that I am most reminiscent of. And both my cameraman Phil and I both adore X Japan. But given that he has politely and patiently recorded these videos for me, I wanted to get him something to express my gratitude, so I made sure to go out of my way and grab this version of the Hige Q post-it figure as a gift, as a thank you gift for Phil. So, if you're still with me at this point, I hope this unboxing has kept you entertained. If you have any questions about any of these items, don't hesitate to let me know. I do want to encourage you to keep an eye on the AnimeNation Facebook page for when we announce our sale of items on eBay to help keep the AnimeNation forum alive. Otherwise, I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I'll talk to you next time.